Bearcat Bounce podcast back at it again. I am fired up. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. I'm fired up. Monday following, as you guys can imagine, one of the more elated, fired up, thrilled, can't hold my composure feelings that I've had probably ever on the BBP, Aaron. I think I'm thinking back on it. Fired up to the point where we get the chance to break down a victory against that team from Norwood, a 68-65 victory. We're going to break it all down. It's also a fired up time where we welcome back a potential NFL tight end to the football team. It's also a Monday where we had numerous portal additions, some big names, some excitement brewing there. But it's a Monday where I'm most excited because I get to bring in my pals, the crew, the squad. Without further ado, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, maybe Ryan Royer. Gentlemen, how are we?
Yeah, just the three of us for now.
Just for now.
Royer will be here at some point in time. He was on time last week, so that bought him like a month.
Yeah.
I'm good.
We'll let him have a month. Yeah.
I'm good. Did a little grocery shopping today. Made some sautéed shrimp and roasted potatoes for dinner tonight.
Dang.
It's pretty tasty. You know, just kind of settling into the week. We got a lot going on. Got a little Wes Miller press conference tomorrow. I've got radio with for Mo Egger on Wednesday. BCJ pod Wednesday night. We're going to talk to John Cunningham.
Woo!
And then, Friday, the infamous arena downtown as the Bearcats take on the ranked Dayton Flyers.
They're good.
So,
they're pretty doggone good.
They're very good. Very good.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to drop off. I'm not going to lie. Yeah. They lost Deron Holmes. They lost both Kobe's. I thought that was a team that was going to be soul-searching a little bit in 2024-25. They have taken 2 top 10 teams to the wire. They've beaten a couple top 15 teams. They're very, very good. Very good.
Yes, they are. But hey, you know what? We're not going to get too worried about that. We still have to bask in this fun, this glory. We get at least 72 hours. I feel no. Push it further. Maybe what's 4 times 24 math major Aaron?
96.
Okay, we get 96 hours to bask in that Xavier win, right?
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks, Bearcat 101. Appreciate you.
You get 365 to bask in it. What are you talking about?
Oh, well, yes, we bask in that sense, but for wackos like me, I start to get nervous about Dayton here. So, but you know what? I'm going to push it all the way off until about midway through the day on Friday. I'm going to bask in that happiness all the way until midway through Friday. So we're going to do that. But Aaron, sir, how are we, mister?
I'm doing all right. Just happy to be done with kids for the day. The youngest, the 6-month-old, she's a little under the weather right now. The other one's still potty training, and that's super fun.
Were they cheering on UC a little down the drive wherever you were watching on Saturday afternoon?
I watched on a movie theater screen at my brother-in-law's.
I've been in that movie theater screen.
Yeah, I got away from everybody and got to yell and cuss and be a fan. So without disturbing sleeping children.
Okay. Can't wait to hear
prime nap time. 2:00 is prime nap time.
Put them to bed and go watch the crosstown shootout. I agree.
Yep.
I hear you. The boy, Royer. I don't know if you saw, we got a fella with the last name McDoom. Can't wait to talk about that. But man, how are we? How's your weekend?
I'm doing good, man. It was a great weekend, great Saturday. Got to watch the Cats take the dub in the slumming crowd of Holy Grail at SantaCon. So amongst the people celebrating. So that was a great memory because I didn't, it's been 5 years. So Yeah, I mean, what was I, a sophomore at UC the last time they won? And we were always locked up in football practice, so I got to enjoy a win amongst the Bearcat faithful. So that was the highlight of the weekend. Other than that, I'm doing good, man. Excited to break down the big win.
Yeah.
Royer, we were driving home from the game, and I was like, Kelsey, what do you want for dinner? She was like, Holy Grail. And I was like, any other time,
Yeah.
I would say absolutely yes. Today, no.
Not a chance you were getting anything in a reasonable time.
She was like, why? What's going on at the Grail? I'm like, it's the worst day of the year if you're not wearing a Santa costume.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a good time, man. They always do a good job of containing the insanity. Shout out to the Grail. Got to see a bunch of old friends, and it was a good time. The win definitely boosted it.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't link up with you. You were blowing me up. I was at the game, and then I went to a couple other spots before I made it down near you. So
I'm sure we'll find out what you guys were texting about later.
Well, yeah, we were blowing each other up. That's for daggone sure. Him as well as Thrifty Walrus. Shouts to Thrifty Walrus. How about that? Just hear, hey, what's up, man? Over at Cobble Rocks, that little bar over called what is it? Cobble Rocks, I think is what it's called. You know what I'm talking about there?
Cobblestone?
Yeah, Cobblestone.
The
Old
Christmas
Cobble
bar?
Rock, Cobblestone. Oh yeah, man. We were fired up in there. And
can't beat
before
that.
I know it, I get a little, hey, excuse me, are you Brent Young? And I was like, yeah, how are we? He was like, well, just want to let you know, I am Thrifty Walrus. And I got extremely fired up. And there he is, the boy. And I took
see him in the chat right now.
Sent it to the chat.
What was it? A normal how are we, or was it a how are we?
Oh, I was fired up because if someone says, "Are you Brent Young?" I'm like, okay, time to lock in. Yes.
No better way than first introducing yourself as Thrifty Walrus. Then you had to get the real name following up after that, I'm guessing.
Brent was every bit as short as I imagined.
Well, I'm 6 foot. Thrifty Walrus was 6'8". So yeah.
We all saw the picture. He sent it to the group chat, Thrifty. We all know what your mug looks like now.
Thrifty, how tall are you? 6'8", right? Yeah. The dude could have. He could go play for Norwood now, but we'll talk about that later. Either way, Chad, I want to hear a little bit about because we are in the Cincy Light Studios.
We
I
are.
want to hear a little bit about how the Mio's Pizza the not shot heard around the world, but the round of Cincy Lights heard around the world over at Mia's Pizzeria. Fantastic. The AD, the man, the myth, the legend, coming on the show on Wednesday. Pretty doggone cool experience there.
Yeah, pretty sweet. Stopped over at our friends at Mio's and bought a round for the house. And Kenyon Martin was there signing autographs and taking pictures. And
wow.
I think he was there with Lenny Stokes and a couple of the other fellas and had I'm told they all had a grand time. And I was told Kenyon was as personable as ever, like just in a great mood. And, they kind of offered like, we can section you off if you want to. And Kenyon was like, nah, I'm a man of the people, and hung out with the crew. And, it was obviously kind of a response to the team from across town doing something similar in past years, which I think is funny. Like there needs to be like traditions to a rivalry, right? Like to the victor goes the spoils. If you win the crosstown shootout, somebody shows up at a bar next to campus. For Xavier, Dana's is lucky because they only have one.
Right. What is it? Is
there's
that
options.
Or like
there's options?
That or the other option is like go to Corrito
Stone
and buy
Lanes.
everyone a burrito bowl, right? Something like that.
Stone Lanes, which friends of ours. I love the people that own Stone Lanes. They're Bearcat fans, but they're located in a bad part of town. So you could either buy everybody like free bowling, or you can go to Dana's and buy free drinks. Well, fortunately, the AD picked one of our wonderful partners and sponsors of the Aftermath, the post-game show. at Mio's and bought a round of Cincy Lights on the house for everybody. And it was a great time. Everybody had a blast. So good to hear.
If you are listening
love
to
that
this
move,
pod,
John. That's a great move.
Royer, how
It's
great is it?
Great video. It made me happy seeing that. John, I think John's going to make a good tradition out of that one.
Yeah, especially because it'll be a lot of years in a row, hopefully, where he will be the one buying around.
Some payback. It's time for the tide to
we
shift.
need to test Mr. Cunningham's wallet a little bit. Let's double that 5-game losing streak and let's make that a 10-game winning streak for us. And let's see how much John wants to go to Mia's.
We could Miami him and take it to like 16.
Yeah.
That would be great. Or we just never lose again. Let's take it to the extreme.
God, wouldn't that be phenomenal? If you know what though, if you're driving in your car listening to the pod right now, or watching it on YouTube, I don't advise that you do that while driving, and you then become very frustrated with yourself that you were not located inside of Mia's when Athletic Director John Cunningham bought that round of Cincy Light for everyone in the entire location, and you're frustrated and you get a little like weary-eyed, and you hit a curb and you bump up your tire, or you get a ding, or you get something, or you just want an oil change, go to Danco Transmission and Auto Care. Sit down and talk to Danco Joe about that beautiful, the 92nd annual edition of the Crosstown Shootout. Just break things down yet again, and get $10 off the oil change. Get 10% off that fixing over at Danco Transmission Auto Care. We love Danco Joe and Danco Transmission Auto Care. So, guys, all I got to say is order is restored. Shout out to Dan Horde for announcing that as the buzzer sounded, as that 3-ball from Zach Fremantle went off. Aesthetically, I think you could say not a beautiful offensive game by either team, but as Bearcat fans, as teams we watched growing up, being those gritty, defensive-minded, pull it out in the end and figure out a way, wins. It was a beautiful college basketball game, and one of the greatest college atmospheres that I'll definitely remember for a long, long time coming. But final result, 68-65. I'm just going to lay something out there for you guys. The shooting, Cincinnati went on a scorcher to the end of the second half, finishing 37.9% from the field, but only 25% from the three-point line. They shot worse in both of those categories only one time in the last 11 seasons. That would come in the 2012-2013 game, where they shot 32.8% and 20.8% in a win, 60-45. SK had 25 in that game. Cash had 15. Jaquan Parker with 11. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the shooting was not there, yet the victory was. Guys, I'm pumped up. I'm ready to break this game down, but I'm going to go around the horn like we always do. Just initial feelings, a couple days removed, as yet again, Cincinnati is on top in the matchup of the Crosstown Shootout. Royer, your thoughts? Then kick it over to Aaron. Then Chad, I want more from you, buddy. Royer, what you got?
Yeah. Obviously the offense felt kind of stale. I thought there was times that our guys were getting looks that, they should have made. I thought Jizzle, he was getting around the rim, getting his mid-range open looks. They just weren't falling. Dan wasn't having his best shooting game, but I felt this was a good example of kind of the state of the program where Wes has these guys. I think that type of shooting performance last year, the year before, I don't think we're pulling out a win, and I don't think we'd be able to pull out a win against many other high-quality teams too, yet alone a rivalry game. So it kind of just shows the heart, the guts of the team a little bit. It shows that, they're able to lock down, make the plays when need to make them, make the shots, not fall too far behind, and be able to go on a run too and kind of feed off each other in big moments. Like I said before, the offense, it didn't, it felt kind of stale in the first half, not a lot of movement, but like I was mentioning, we have better players, and I thought for a good amount of time, not like 75%, let's say like 60% of the time, like our guys were getting their looks they should make. They just weren't falling. And And I don't think you'd expect that to happen. I know Seamoss kind of filled it up a little bit late into the second half, kind of got his points there, but just having like Jizzle, Dan, and Seamoss kind of be off offensively for a lot of the game, and still being able to pull out a victory, I think it shows a lot of like the character of this team in the fight. So a win's a win, especially in a big rivalry game. Looking at the lineups, you'd think this is a game we should win by 10 plus. But just showing that grit, I think guys, doing their part. I think Hickman kind of stepped in there, got his offense going a little bit. He was a good spark off the bench, especially with Jizzle, not up to his standards. So I really liked what I saw, especially being able to pull a win out when not a lot of things were going right for us offensively.
It's been a long time. It's been a long time since we've seen a win. Whether it's at third, whether it's since us, I don't care. I'll take the home win. I kind of, I guess, piggybacking off of what Ryan said. You figured it out. You figured out a way to win. You're down 7, I think, at one point, and I think that's as big as it got for Xavier, and you still figured it out, despite Jizzle probably hopefully having his worst game as a Bearcat. I don't imagine many nights being worse than 0 for 11 from the field with that whopping 2 points, although they were clutch free throws in a very key moment.
2 very important points, because if he doesn't make those, Xavier's got the ball with a chance to win.
Yeah, they were. But I think we saw, even from guys that you don't necessarily praise on a regular basis, because the big 3 that we would normally be praising, and that's, I guess, counting Dylan out, which we shouldn't do that at this point. But Dan, Jizzle, and Seamoss just had weird nights. But Dylan Mitchell had a big game with his double-double. Aziz had a massive game, on both sides of the court. And look, I did not expect him to play over 30 minutes, and he logged 31. Well done to the big fella.
Most he's recorded as a Bearcat.
He caught everything that came past it. Like, the lobs were good for the most part. There were some where there were obviously Xavier defenders in the way, but as long as it made it past the Xavier defender, he was throwing it down. But he had a great day. Dede had a great day. Connor had probably his grittiest performance as a Bearcat. I don't think you win without the grit that Connor Hickman played in his logged minutes. You did see the rotation shortened quite a bit, which I think was important for this game, and it kind of gives us a glimpse as to what we may see once we get into, barring any type of foul issues or injuries, what we'll see going into conference play. And it was as exciting a game that I can remember. I mean, I don't have the archive footage in my head that Brent has all the time, which it's unreal. If you ask him what happened in this particular game, he'll give you the date, the time of possession. It's unreal.
What do you want to know? What do you want to know?
But fun win. It was very fun.
Yeah. Most minutes recorded as a Bearcat for Z's. Most minutes in the short season so far for Dylan Mitchell as a Bearcat. They both led the team in minutes played in that game as well. So, yeah, I imagine that'll be somewhat of a trend that you see as they kind of establish kind of their true Bearcat defensive identity, because they were hustling all over the damn floor, man. If Aziz plays like that, that's a valuable piece. Just a 7-foot, long as heck, running all over the floor, diving for loose balls. Like, that is a really, really, really good asset to have on the team, and especially, like you said, finishing every hoop that was at least thrown in, his ability to catch it and finish it. But
yeah,
Chad, overall look on the game, and then let's get some nitty gritty.
I think you have to give a ton of, look, what you guys have talked about absolutely deserves all the praise it got. I also think you have to give a ton of credit to the guys defending on the wing. Because if you really break it down, Davion McKnight was 1 of 3 and scored 2 points. Didn't get to the free throw line. That's a guy that essentially was like he won the game for them with his clutch play late last year.
Mhm.
And he played 34 minutes. He scored 2 points. He had 9 assists, but you can live with that if you're keeping him off of the scoreboard. Conwell finished with 16 or 17. 8 of those were in the final 3 minutes. So for 57 minutes, they took Xavier's best perimeter player and locked him up. And then Foster, 2 of 7. He did hit a pair of threes and had 6 points, but in 30 minutes, he made 2 baskets and didn't go to the free throw line. So collectively, Jizzle, Day-Day, Hickman, Dan, Seamoss, as a group, those guys did an outstanding job keeping Xavier out of ever really finding a rhythm offensively. Fremantle was outstanding, and look, that sucks. They're talking about it's going to be at least a couple weeks. It sounds ominous. I know they said the problem right now is there's a bunch of swelling, so they can't get in and do the MRI. Sean Miller confirmed tonight on his radio show it was a knee injury. If you watch the play that had happened, it was the right before the final media timeout of the game. They throw a lob to Aziz, and Fremantle is trying to get back to it. And if you watch the play, it looked like he hurt like his back or
like the fall was
or
really
something.
rough. Yeah.
But I guess what happened was as he went to go up, and you can't really see it because his body was in the way, but I guess his knee kind of buckled right as he went to jump because he was jumping backwards to try to keep a lob from happening. You hate to see that, man. One, just, that dude's been there for a long time. He's battled through a lot. Could have left, could have, went and tried somewhere else and probably got a big payday and whatever, but he stuck with it. It's a great player for him for a long time. If that's the end, you hate to see it end like that. The other part that, just from a basketball standpoint, Fremantle aside, that hurts Cincinnati. Because now they've got to win over Xavier. You can't have them go 3-17 in the Big East because then you don't get any help metrically from getting a win in the crosstown shootout. So that the health part, that part sucks. Also sucks from the Cincinnati side of things that, he was playing so well for them.
Yeah, he was.
That he did at least give them a chance to make some noise in the Big East and try to kind of claw back from the struggles that they've had. And now, at least for, you would guess, 6 weeks, 8, like minimum, they're not going to have him. And it sounds like there's a pretty good possibility it's the rest of the season. So best of luck to Zach. Hope he gets well soon, but
you don't want that to be your ending, right? To be that be your last shot that you take in college.
Aaron, especially for a guy that was about to win his 5th shootout, right? He was about to do it. Nobody's ever done. He was, and that it's got to be rough. It's got to be brutal to have that, if that is the end, to have that be the end. So, best wishes to him, and hopefully it is something he can get back from by the end of this season, because I think technically Xavier has passed the 30% limit on getting him a medical red shirt. Now I think that was the game that put them over the limit. Either that one or the one before it. So you get 31 games. That was 11 for them. So 10 games he would have been at 30%. 11 games he's over. So it sucks, but the beat goes on. But back to the UC side of things. I just think that's, Ryan knows this, man. There was games you guys didn't play well, and the good teams more often than not, find a way to grind out those victories when you're not at your best, because it's 31 games plus the Big 12 tournament, plus hopefully the NCAA tournament. There are going to be nights that you're not great, that you're not at your absolute max performance, especially offensively, where, shots come and go. You can go hot, you can go cold. It is what it is. But, these guys managed to scrap it out. Look, man, we all thought down 7 minutes to go. And then Fremantle, I think that's actually what changed the game. Fremantle misses that dunk.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, to go
during that run too, it's like, they get the 50-50, like Day flies in out of nowhere and kind of bumps the ball out of Dan's hand. Two guys right there. Falls right into Hunter's hand for a layup. Then all of a sudden, the very next play, Seamoss tries to dig in and get past, a defender to just create in the lane, gets stripped, Hunter dunk. Yes. At that point, it was very I was unwell. I was very unwell. But Royer, do you think this is a scenario where it's like, as Chad was saying, in the end, the better team finds out a way? Or, and I want to open this up to everybody as well, do you kind of feel like this was a game where the team was just, kind of pressing so hard because they know the whole talk about 5 straight losses in a row. They know the whole talk about how, they're 10-point favorites on KenPom. They're, 7.5, 8-point favorites on all the gambling sites. Like, they're supposed to win this game at home. Does that pressing kind of boil to a point as well? I mean, it just seems like that's a perfect storm for you to kind of play a little bit tight. And then I feel like they kind of just shook out of it as, down the stretch took place.
Yeah, we are the better team across the board, especially on the wings, like how Chad was given high praise to, our perimeter defense. And I completely agree. I also thought Xavier, they played well. They played well defensively. I thought both teams, kind of stood the test on defense, but like I was just mentioning, the Bearcats better lineup. I think you kind of had that pressure all game, which can definitely affect your shooting. Think about Jizzle, him trying to be like the guy this year, and he's like, what, if you want to be the guy, you gotta play like the guy in the shootout game too. So you can point to some of that in the first half, and I think it just kind of boils down to, we're the better team. I think we have the better culture, and I think it was time. I think that the culture, the effort, the energy, I think the importance of the rivalry, I think we were just kind of able to grit some momentum out back to our side at the end of the game and take advantage of their miscues and make the plays we needed to make. I kind of thought it was kind of insane stat. Damn near 33% of our points, I'd say, were from the lob. I mean, if you just take if you take that lob out of the first half, like, our offense had nothing. Like, what we probably had close to like 18 points, whether it was finishing or the free throws coming off of it, of the lob plays. It's kind of amazing to think about, like, the lob being that much of our offense. All of our guys that normally like fill it up and play well offensively, they don't have their best of days. Jizzle, like you said, had probably his worst offensive game as a Bearcat. But I think as a collective, the message, the vibe of the team is, we're going to do whatever it takes, and that's exactly what they did. So super proud of the staff, super proud of the guys. It was a great win, great day to be a Bearcat.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, looks like there were 14 of 23 overall on layups and dunks, and 8 of 10 on dunks. And that's even at one point in the second half when, and I want to talk next about, Dan, Jizzle, Seamoss. But when Dan had that kind of one awkward layup that, looked like he was kind of falling down, they were 1 of 7 on layups at that point in the game. And it's just like, it truly seemed like there was a lid on the basket. And Wes said that as well. It was just like, we were getting some good looks at times, but literally nothing was falling, and they still found out a way. Chad and Aaron, you guys think that there was kind of just like a multitude of pressure in this? Like, it felt like a huge just sigh of relief after that final shot by Fremantle miss. But I feel like sometimes that might affect your shots, especially ones that aren't right at the basket. It did seem like, kind of at times that the whole pressure of the game was kind of being put in front of them, and then that's when, of course, the defense and the effort kind of was the deciding factor towards the end.
I think you saw the pressure when you had guys launching threes from more than 4 feet, 5 feet outside the arc, as if they were. And we've seen CMOS make that shot. It's not necessarily a bad shot for CMOS, but in that moment, especially in with the last 2 minutes of the game when he shot that shot, I was outside myself when he shot that shot. Like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? That's not the shot you take right now. It felt like he was playing hero ball a little bit.
Right.
Like, I think that's what you talk about with some of that pressure. Like, he wanted to hit the shot that put the game away. I get it, but not that shot, man.
Yeah, and then how about the other one where he was on the fast break and had Hughley kind of the one trailing him, and he tried to do a little behind the back pass to Aziz that got obviously knocked out of bounds. And Wes said I was seeing dots. I think all of us were seeing dots, and I just
laughed.
Yeah,
like,
and there's that guy
that laughed. Like, of course.
Right, especially it was during the run too. Like the comeback run, and you were just like, "Yep, this is how this game is going to go." But Aaron, were you done with that point? And Chad, I want to hear too. Kind of just the pressure.
Dede had a shot like that as well, where he shot one from NBA range, and I guess I don't know. I just in that game, I feel like those are the type of shots that were rushed, that were out of the flow of the game, that were not the shots he wanted to take in those situations. And I think that's what you're talking about when you talk about the pressure that these guys had on offense, was they were trying to do what they could. And because Xavier play a good brand of defense. So it's hard at times to find those shots. So I think that's just me backing up your point. Yes, I think they felt the pressure.
Okay.
I think they found those shots. They just didn't make them. Like, I think you do get a little sped up when none of your normal stuff, the stuff that the things that normally produce offense are being executed pretty well, and the shots aren't falling. Then I do think you feel a little bit of like, I might have to do a little extra. I might have to put a little mustard on it to get things done. But ultimately it was really, I mean, what decided it was that 17-3 run that you get down 7 and then all of a sudden you're up 7 a couple minutes later, which that helped them kind of do just enough to keep X at that little brother distance where you kind of have your arm out on his forehead and he's swinging at you and he can't hit you. But yeah, I mean, I guess I just think it's, you get caught up in the game, you get caught up in the emotion. I mean, that place was electric throughout the game on Saturday. You get caught up in just trying to be the guy that makes the play, trying to be the guy that gets it to the finish line when you haven't beaten them in a long time. And if you didn't win this one, man, then you got to go back next year to that hellhole over in Norwood. So it's it is what it is.
1 of 14 at halftime for Jizzle, CMOS, and Dan. And then
I think it got up to 1 of 21, 2 of 22, something like that. Before
3 of 26. 3 of 26 was the final part where it was just like, wow. And then 6 of 8 down the stretch, and that was just Dan and CMOS, obviously, because Jizzle finished 0 of 11. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts on what Wes said about Jizzle in the post-game presser. I think that it's just the pulse on the team collectively and the pulse on each individual is just unbelievable, because people in Casey Ellis and a couple others are mentioning the the post-game interview with Dylan Mitchell about how, or sorry, no, that was Bearcat 101 was mentioning the post-game interview with Dylan Mitchell and just how everyone just seems locked in. I let that Dylan Mitchell just mention everyone on the bench, even those that don't play, are out there completely locked in. They're so locked in. And then the words from Wes in the post-game presser about Jizzle, about how, you guys know who Jizzle James is. I don't have one worry in the world about him. He's the hardest worker. He's an everyday guy. Is this one of those games where you guys kind of just throw everything out because it is a rivalry game? It is, I think, pound for pound, it's the best rivalry game in all of college basketball. I don't think that there are two fan bases that hate each other more than these two do, year in and year out. Just for
I don't
all
know why anybody would say that.
days. I mean, just follow a certain person on this podcast Twitter feed, and you will see the true hatred between the two fan bases. But
they love me.
They
love me.
Somewhat, a little love to hate type feel. But and as 13 Walrus, points out, it's 0 for 11 from the field. You come in ice cold off the bench, and you knock down the two biggest free throws of the season, of probably his career.
Day got almost all the point guard minutes from the under 4 stop until Jizzle came in to make the free throws.
Let's talk about those final plays. We've harped on the poor shooting from here on out. And to answer my own question, yes, I do think that it is a little bit the pressure from the big game and whatnot, and to kind of just, once you win, move on and try and get back to what you got. Because at the halftime of speech in the locker room that you saw posted in chat, I'm forgetting the guy's name that made that video today that was posted. It was absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. Absolutely phenomenal job. Great. I suggest to go watch it. You'll get chills. Watch it again. You'll get some more chills. Watch it again. Cold shower. But I think that the main thing is, what Wes mentioned was we're getting way better shots than they are because you guys are playing unbelievable defense and you guys are hustling and everything of those sorts. But towards the end of the game, your guys' thoughts on one of the more fun Twitter plays of the game that everyone's still talking about is the Dan Skilling's missed free throw where he pulls a Trey Scott, grabs the rebound, and lays it back in. Your guys' thoughts on that game and on that play, and Chad, obviously a great job by you in the presser with a little quote that will live on for years to come.
I didn't have the microphone, but he took it there. I wasn't going to let it just float away without getting the question in. Did you leave early? Definitely. And then the guys over at Viva La Cats podcast, they were like, no, I think he was joking. I was like, nah, he wasn't joking. He knew he left a beat. I mean, when you watch it back, it actually seemed worse live. But when he crosses the line, the ball is like that far from, like a tenth of a second from hitting the rim.
Right.
But he saw it come out of his hand poorly. He saw where it was going to go, and then he saw a lane. Like, I don't know what the two Xavier guys on the right block just kind of drifted back
with Dylan Mitchell. Way off. It was weird.
Dylan, it just kind of drifted back to make sure, because he's I guess in theory, that's the guy you have to watch because he's so bouncy and quick off the floor. You're worried about him. So they kind of fell asleep, kind of drifting back with him. And then Swain just kind of stands there on Aziz's back. Like, he had to have, his responsibility had to be Dan Skilling's the shooter. And he just kind of fell asleep. Dan sees the opening, shoots the gap, bang, lays it in. Looking at all the Final Four winners.
That's funny.
But credit to Dan. It was a heads up play. Was he a little early? Yeah, he was. But and guess what? If Xavier holds their assignments, it doesn't matter if he's early because the guys. I know that I saw some confusion about this today.
Yeah,
everybody from the free throw line up to the basket is allowed to go as soon as the ball leaves the fingertips. Everybody from the free throw line back has to wait for the ball to hit the rim. So they had the opportunity to get in position to have Dan blocked out, and they didn't execute it. And that left the door open for what happened. Look, we bitch about officials all the time here, especially when they're poor and it results in something that benefits the other team. We would have been livid if that went against UC. So, but at the end of the day, that's how this shit works. Like, that's not reviewable. So just like, did they change? Is the charge circle not reviewable anymore?
Well,
how was that not a charge?
He called him in the circle, but
right,
it wasn't because if you watch the official when they do block charge, he pointed to the circle, which means he was in that was the call that he was in the circle. I know that used to be reviewable. He wasn't in the circle, went back, looked at it, checked it a couple times, was not in the circle. I don't know if that's not reviewable anymore, but we all talk about that stuff. I get Xavier fans being upset about it. Let's not pretend like if the roles are reversed and Xavier was down 1 and did exactly the same thing, we'd be talking about it right now. For the first 41 minutes, we would have been talking about it.
Oh, yeah.
But sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield. And this time, Xavier was the bug. Cincinnati got to be the windshield this time. But a bang play, a great recognition from Dan that he had a chance to go get it and then to go catch it and quick. Xavier didn't even know what happened as he was laying the ball in. They're all looking at each other going, because nobody contested it. He just pop, lay up on the other side. Huge momentum swing to the Bearcats. And, that's the breaks sometimes.
Yeah. And another thing is the fact that, like you said, Swain could have been in the middle of the lane the second that Dan released that. And Dan would have not had a path.
Yeah. And instead, he's just hanging on to the back of Aziz's jersey. I don't know what the hell he was doing.
Right. And also let's just say this. Yes, he was seeing damn rainbows, as Bearcat 101 puts it politely. Let's also put it this way. That was a very Dan play. I don't think
Tasmanian Dan.
Right. I don't think that there would be any other player out there that would have the thought of immediately, let's do it.
Is that not the whole point of Tasmanian Dan? He just went right.
Well,
he was laying it up on the other side of the rim.
I don't even think that's the first time he's done that before, though. I think he's gotten his own rebound on a free throw before.
Yeah.
So none of us are surprised. To Brent's point, yes, it is a very Dan play because we've seen him do this type shit before.
Yep. And I think we can all say, maybe he's close to 100% injury recovery wise, but I don't think Dan is fully 100% game speed ready wise. I saw a lot of people kind of questioning why he was in there at the end. I just think he affects the game in so many ways. I think that, yes, I think Hickman had a hell of a spurt in the first half. He had another good shot there in the second half. But I just think Dan just gotta have him out there. But the fouling the 3-point shooter is obviously a massive no-no. We saw it at the end of the season last year be somewhat of an issue. We saw it again this
foul, but whatever.
Right. It was a very fingertip ticky-tack type call, but one that of course had a huge impact on the game. But either way, I want to hear then the inbounds pass goes to Dylan Mitchell when Xavier is looking to foul. And Dylan gets it immediately to Jizzle James when Jizzle is barely across the out of bounds line. A very dicey type play. And then, of course, Jizzle knocks down both free throws, ice in his veins, as we've already mentioned. And then comes the final offensive possession for Xavier. we're gonna go past the one ball that went out of bounds, but 6 seconds left. Are you guys in the camp to immediately foul no matter what, or are you in the camp to just?
And they were supposed to immediately foul no matter what, and they didn't.
Oh, okay.
You have to execute the play. Like Wes said it in the post game. He said, like,
Yeah.
they all were told to foul. Like, as long as the guy is not in a shooting motion, go foul. And they didn't execute the play, which, there was also a moving screen that got Fremantle open, but
one of the 50 that were throughout the entire game. Yeah. Yeah, of course. But yeah, I mean, Royer's off the screen. So Aaron, I'm going to pass it down to you. That open shot by Fremantle at the end of the game, that is one of those that we as Bearcat fans say, this shot always goes in against us. But this time it didn't.
Because it does, right? Like, because it does always go against us. But yeah, for what I mean, I don't know if it was instant karma for barking at the UC GOAT, Kenyon Martin, after he hit the shot right before halftime. Call it what you will. Maybe it was, finally the basketball gods tired of all the moving screens and they just gave the ball a little and didn't let it happen. Whatever it was, finally we win a close one. Finally, the shot doesn't fall. Although if it goes to overtime, I think we still win in overtime. If I'm being completely honest, they started to find their stride there, largely in the second half. So
you wanted more basketball, didn't you? You sick guy, you sick man. Golly,
you did too. Don't act like I'm alone on that island.
No, I wanted to just finish that daggone. I was in a scary place, down 7 with 7 minutes to go. Like
stop betting.
Scary place. It wasn't even that. This is the happiest I've ever been after a lost bet. I will happily say that out loud. So believe me, it was a scenario where survive, advance, have fun. Corey Blunt running out onto the court in excitement. Obviously, all the former players there in jubilation. This is a family. Wes said it himself. He loves Cincinnati. He loves being the coach here.
Do you think the players are allowed in the locker room for the post-game coach speech ever again, or do they just have to be told to put their phones in a basket? As they
it's probably like a big comedy show. You got to put your phone in a locker before you come in. But yeah, I mean, it was Wes is the man. And I tell you what, man, he those doggone players that had me almost emotional in that post game presser. I just sit back
Brent
there.
Was about to cry sitting there.
I literally was.
He cried. He definitely cried.
Yeah, man.
Right out of the corner.
After he went out to the bars all night that night, he came home, and as he's laying his head down to rest, he's watching videos on his phone and literally just screaming.
No. Believe me. When I got home from the bars, about 2:15, got a little no free ads, but got a little food at the end. And turned on the rewatch on TV, and boy, I was like pumped up. And then I fell asleep pretty quickly because it was a long day. It was a long.
He said you cried to him at Cobblestone. He can verify that you did cry.
I was engulfed in that 6'9" man's arms, and I let the tears flow. There's no doubt about that. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, it was an awesome game. Awesome game. The win. I'm going to give shouts out to the game day production team too, because they were on point. They had the scenario where Aziz blocks the ball out of bounds, forces the 5-second call. Forces the timeout before 5-second call. Immediately the crowd's hype. Immediately they show Kenyon Martin. Crowd gets even more hype. Just a beautiful way to go ahead, Eric. Yeah.
As long as you're not giving flowers to whoever had to run the feed to actually fucking work.
Oh yeah,
because that was an issue.
Well, I don't know this for certain, but my theory is This is why you don't put games that everybody wants to watch on streaming, because it's going to overload the servers and you're going to cause streaming issues because everybody wants to watch the game. This is why you put the games that aren't going to get as much, coverage.
Eyes.
That's why you put the eyes. That's why you put them on ESPN Plus. To put a game like this on ESPN Plus is stupid. Like everybody wants to watch the Crosstown Shootout. Everybody wants to see the intensity and the fun that is this rivalry. So that's on ESPN, because you can't. I'm sure some of it was, we don't want to give shine to anybody in the Big East because they're not a contract that we hold. Like I get that, and also we want to get every penny we can from Xavier fans that aren't going to use our service throughout the year because they're playing games on Fox. So now we got a chance to get all 11,000 Xavier fans to get a subscription to ESPN Plus.
Yeah, there you go.
It was a tragedy.
All 11,000 of them.
Yep. I mean, just look at what happened during the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight. Cincinnati Xavier was the most excitable, most watched thing in the entire world at 2:00 on Saturday afternoon. So yeah, of course those ESPN Plus servers are going to crash. I mean, look what happened to Netflix. So yeah, Tom Farrell, yes, boy, that was a fun game. You could say that 1,000,000 times. Natty Ron, what's up, brother? And 30 Walrus, stay locked in. But yeah, I mean, it's exciting, but page turns pretty quick. Chad, I want you and Dave to continue to be excited, continue to rouse yourselves as you relish in the victory against Xavier. But Dayton comes on Friday pretty doggone quickly, and that's a team that just took down Marquette at home. I believe they were down 10.5 and just kind of blew them out in the second half. Went to Maui and looked way better than anticipated. Have a win against Northwestern. If you want to kind of get a little bit of shakes and tremors, just want to let you know that they have a fella named Zed Key on their team. You remember him when Cincinnati played Ohio State a couple of years ago? Yeah, he's still in college basketball, and now he plays for Dayton. They've got shooters, they've got athleticism, they've got a lot of players that can kind of fill it up in many different ways. So
they're just super efficient offensively. Like they're quick, small guards. They make shots. They get in the lane. They move the defense really well. They're just good enough inside to complement what they do on the perimeter. I mean, at times they'll run 3 6-foot guys out there. So, it's going to be a challenge for Cincinnati. I do think probably a situation where you'll see a lot of, 2 out of the 3 of Jizzle, Day and Hickman on the floor at the same time, just to kind of be able to neutralize or at least match up with Dayton's quickness. But offensively, they are excellent. I watched all 3 of the Maui games. I watched Marquette on Saturday when I got home. They move the ball. They know exactly where they're supposed to be. And much like we saw last year, when they get open shots, they go in. And then they run a good deal of that Mick Cronin 25 matchup zone that, at least Cincinnati's played it once this year. So it's not, it's going to be something they prep for, but they're a little different. They're a little more, they don't really force turnovers, but they force you into, they bog down your offense and they force you into tougher looks late in the shot clock. So, you're gonna, the problem is they don't turn it over offensively. So getting out in transition is difficult against them. And with their quickness, they get back, at a rapid rate. So they're tough, man. They're really good. Kudos to Anthony Grant. I thought they were cooked.
Yeah.
Coming into this season. They did not make a lot of big splashes in the portal. They lost, 3 of their top 4 players, something like that, depending on how you want to. I mean, Kobe Elvis killed Cincinnati last year.
Free throw after free throw from him, yeah.
And then Kobe Barea and Deron Holmes, like the bulk of what beat Cincinnati is gone, and they might be better this year than they were last year. So you got to be ready for him. Give Anthony Grant credit, man. That dude can flat out coach, and he's got things kind of rolling pretty good at Dayton right now.
Yeah, I mean they literally had they were up 18.5 against North Carolina. Somehow coughed that game away. They were up 4.5 against Iowa State and had the lead at times throughout the second half as well. Obviously had the huge comeback against Marquette. I just it'll be a tough game, but I tell you what, it's this could be a lot of people talk about hangover games after a big win. I think that win against Xavier is more just like a relief, monkey off the back type feel. And they kind of just go into this one fresh as a team that's fresh, trying to continue to prove themselves against the Dayton team. Obviously, they're a lot different, but Dayton pretty much did dominate that game last year downtown Cincinnati.
They got their ass kicked. Let's just call it what it is. Dayton flat out kicked their ass at US Bank Arena, whatever arena, Heritage Bank Center, whatever the hell it is.
Heritage Bank Arena, presented by RC Cola and bags of chips.
And the other thing is, a lot of times that crosstown hangover is a game that's like 3 days after the shootout, for like a quick turnaround where now you're going to get Sunday and Monday to kind of do light work and film and kind of reset your body and let the emotion kind of decompress and then get ready for Dayton. Where I think you get in trouble is that immediate, like, boom, okay, now we play. Like, we're still coming off of the emotion of that game, and then you're preparing for another team Sunday and Monday to play on Tuesday, or to play on Wednesday or whatever. I do not envy Xavier having they get UConn on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Yeesh. And then Marquette right after that. So but Dayton's gonna be a hell of a competition. And then I think you do have to worry about a trap. Because they play Grambling State happens before we are back on this show.
And you know what? Don't be viewing the whole week layoff before you play, start conference play and have Christmas and whatnot. So I agree. Yeah, I agree. Especially because that's the team that went to the tournament last year.
They're good. I mean, they're good. They're not good, but they're
not
good for their level. And if you come in sleepwalking, like, you could be in trouble.
Yeah, like I mean, to say 22-point favorites according to Ken Palm in that one, but Howard, same thing, and Howard gave Cincy all they could handle for half. So don't want to do that. But as of right now, Ken Palm, and it is what it is on Ken Palm, has Cincinnati 71-69 over Dayton. Both teams are ranked, as mentioned. I want to go back the last time that the two teams played ranked against each other, or the last time Cincy had a ranked versus ranked matchup had to be
2019. Houston, 2019, going into the Jaron Cumberland, the game before the Jaron Cumberland AAC championship performance.
Boom, lock and load, baby, lock and load. But
see, Aaron, I got some knowledge up here too in this giant air-filled brain of mine. It's not just Brent.
It's a big head.
It is a big head. You know what they say about big heads?
Big brains.
Big hats.
Oh, big brains. Oh, you can't have a big brain with a small head. That's not how it works.
That's a good point. You raise a good point. Anything else on basketball, guys? I mean, I could literally talk for another hour, just about Connor Hickman, about how Tyler Bessie came in and actually did defend pretty well against Dalen Swain on the one possession he was in, and numerous other things. But hey, it's time to rock and time to roll.
I mean, are you saying you want me to like do an ad read, or like?
I mean, I'm asking like
I never know if it's a question.
I'm asking like, does Royer want to say one more order is restored, one more the Cats come out on top?
If Xavier played football, we'd kick their ass.
Yeah.
Connor
You bet your ass.
That's
Connor Barwin. There you go.
Boom.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries. They provide a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick 513-470-2029 and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
boom. And as Chad gets ready to fire up the new referee as we get ready to go into my favorite segment that happens every single week, I do want to mention Day Thomas plays unbelievable perimeter on ball defense. It is fascinating how good he is on ball defensively. But yeah, that's where it goes. Tom Farrell wants more Xavier trolling from Chad. You can catch that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
I feel bad for him right now.
Yeah,
they're in a bad spot. They're like, just to have this, like, they're in a rough spot. They have to replace almost their entire team. They had to go overboard to get $3 million in NIL for this year.
Mm-hmm.
Next year, this coming off season, $3 million is not going to be much money in the NIL era. They're not developing anything from within. I think the only player besides Zach Fremantle that is a product of their system, now that Trey Green is out, I guess, is Dalen Swain. Everybody else is a vagabond. They're in an interesting spot. I'm not going to say that they can't figure a way out of it because Sean is a really good coach. I think he is struggling to adapt to NIL and to the right path to navigate. But they're in an interesting, and I think most everybody in the Big East is going to be in this dilemma. Marquette has a ton of money, so they can probably avoid it. UConn, obviously, I think Creighton has some financial backing that, can help them out. But a lot of these smaller private schools, as we get into rev share and as we get into like where the sport is going, it's not a great situation for the folks across town. If you're being honest with yourself, analyzing like where their roster is at and what they're going to have to do to get some stability. We talked for 4 years, guys, 4 years about you can't turn over half or more of your roster every year and expect the train to just keep rolling along. What happened finally with Cincinnati? Stability. They returned a bunch of guys, and then they added select pieces to that, and you got a couple freshmen into the program, and hopefully you give yourself some leeway to keep the train rolling. I'm fascinated to see like how this plays out for them.
We don't need to worry about this because we have Aziz Bandego who is down there ready to flush any lob that gets tossed up to him. We have Dylan Mitchell, who was just a freak athlete, willing to do anything for the team. We have so much to look forward to, Chad, that we really don't even need to care about that. So
you know what else we have, Brent?
What do we have?
We have New Riff. They're fiercely independent and unabashedly innovative. They produce award-winning bourbon, rye whiskey, and gin at their distillery in Newport, Kentucky. The Aquafire Tasting Room, located on the 3rd floor of the distillery, features cocktails, flights, and pours of New Riff's entire line of spirits, including rare, limited edition, and distillery-exclusive releases. Bearcat Journal listeners can save 50% on distillery tours when you use the code Bearcats24. For information or to book a tour, visit newriffdistilling.com.
Royer, the boy.
There we go. This is kind of a history question, kind of something I'm curious about. I think you guys would be able to give some good insight. Does that atmosphere crack the top 3 in your guys' opinion of all time Fifth Third / the shoe atmospheres that either you've heard of or you've been to?
if we're going back to like the old shoe, it got much louder in there because the walls were closed. I don't know. Were you even around for the old one, Ryan, before the renovation? Was that your freshman year?
My freshman year was the renovation.
So you didn't get to see the old. So
No.
imagine on both ends, like where the student sections are, that there's those open spaces behind them were just gone, and there was like a walkway and walls. And that's all it was. And the sound
just
had nowhere to
enclosed.
go. And you had some incredible teams and games, through those years. So I don't know that I'll go definitely top 3 in the new arena for sure. Probably number 1 in the new arena. But there's just so many
top 5,
so many incredible. I don't even know. Top 10, I'll go. But they're just, when you're number 1 and you've got ranked teams coming in and like that, there was so much like noise in the old building that it was hard to top.
Yeah. Like Troy's senior year against Xavier when, obviously Trayvon Blewett's going off for Xavier in the first half. And then you have a freshman, Jaron Cumberland, going straight to the grill of JP McCura for 6 straight points. That got really, really, really loud.
That was before, right? That was the old.
Yeah, that was the old. That was the old. That was the last season of the old. That place was rocking. But as far as the new arena goes, between this one and this game, and I hate to say it because it was a loss, but the Texas game last year was so loud.
The first Big 12 game, yeah.
But the Houston game and the one season with Trey Scott and Jaron senior year when Dejan Giroux bit Mamadou Diarra, that was loud, very, very loud.
The loudest. I don't think this is even really a question. The loudest post Huggins was senior SK versus Russ. When Russ did the little 15-footer to give Louisville the win, that place was.
But we cannot count losses in this.
But look, man, if that shot misses, that place, the roof blows off that place. Like it was a frenzy. And I think Pitino said after the game, that was the best college atmosphere he had ever been a part of. Like that place was, that from the Mick era, I think that Louisville game was the pinnacle. Yeah,
I think there's, man. Like that Memphis game when Gary Clark threw down the alley-oop, that place was probably the singular play that erupted the loudest for me. But there's in the new arena. Is
it that Louisville game when SK got the dunk right off the tip?
Yeah, kind of fired up pretty
the
early.
Opening tip, they hit it right to him. The place is already like in an uproar. SK just dunks the first 2 points of the game, and that the confetti, the old confetti days from the student section. It was electric.
Gosh, but man, I tell you what, Saturday was
Butler rubber ball game was loud. Yeah, that was a loud one.
But Ryan, to answer your question, Saturday was unbelievably special. And
I think it's number 1 since the renovation.
And the fans, like the student section, shouts to them, man. They got there early, really, really early. And they were booing Xavier when they were out there and cheering on the Cats when they were there. So Saturday was definitely very special.
And finals week was already over. Like they didn't even have to be on campus.
Yeah,
right.
It was awesome.
Nice. All right, good.
And also there were so many dunks, Ryan. So many dunks.
Yeah, that leads right into my second one. Over under 7.5 lob jams Saturday.
What was the your one question last week? We both failed miserably on the over under rebound advantage and the over under threes. Well, I guess Aaron and Chava right on the under on the threes. I said over that 11.5.
Or was it 10.5 and you took 11 for the?
No, you said 11.5, and I said, but that's too many.
Yeah.
I said 9.5. I might have been comfortable with 10, and I would have been way off. They made 5.
Yep.
Yeah.
Over 7.5. I actually do think that they can get a good amount of lobs in this game.
Yeah.
I think that Dayton is kind of like a better X, like lengthwise. You look at Dayton, and on paper they're pretty. They aren't undersized, but they do play a good amount of undersized players. I mean, Zed Key's only 6'8", and he plays a monster bulk of the minutes at the 5. Then they have Nate Santos, who is 6'7". Then they go 6 foot, 6'3", 6 foot, 5'10". So I'll take the over on 7.5.
Aaron?
7.5. I don't know enough about Dayton, if I'm going to be completely honest, but I know this team likes to dunk. I know Aziz was on fire, Dylan was on fire, and Dan has one more game that he has knocked the rust off at this point. Give me the over.
I'm going to go under. I think it felt like Cincinnati had lobs all day against X, and they had 8. Like, it felt like there was a ton, and they had 8. So I think while Dayton is small, they're infinitely more athletic, which I think what that can do more than the back end is it's going to pressure your guards from getting into that like free throw line extended area where you would prefer the lob pass be. Unless it's like a set play like we saw with Dylan on the back cut where he circled around and got the lob on a 3 from out by the 3-point line. You generally don't want to be throwing your lobs from that far out. Like you want to break the defense down, make the defense react to you up, and then you throw the lob over top of their head. I think Dayton is going to be able, especially if they are in that matchup zone quite a bit, there will be a second guy. If Jizzle breaks his guy down off the ball and gets to 15, there's going to be another guy that's going to immediately come up and kind of alleviate that pressure. So I'll go under. I think they'll still get some. I don't think this is going to be one of those games where we really have to stress about like they're not going to get any points off of the lob. So where are those 12, 14, 16 points going to come from? But I think you'll see 5 or 6. I think 7.5 is a lot because, man, it felt like it was Lob City all day against X, and you look down and they had 8.
Yeah, true. Randy Lockfield, it was Angelo Craig was the other player, football player. And then Jeffrey Inman, yes, you are correct. The game is on Friday at 8:30 p.m. So the answer would be 0 on Saturday. But either way. All right, Royer, got another one?
Yep, another line. I'm going with bounce back game from Jizzle James. I'm taking the over at 14.5 points. I think he's going to hit 2 threes. I think he's going to get in. He's going to hit a couple of his classic mid-range jumpers, get to the rim a little bit. But I wonder what you guys think over under that 14.5.
I think
I'll go over.
I think 14 is where I put him, and just because they spread the ball out so much, I think that's a great line to put it at, in my opinion. But I'm gonna go under only because I think he finishes at 14.
I think one of the things that we have seen from Jizzle last year that could translate to this game is when he has had smaller guards on him, he has abused them with his strength, with his physicality. I think we're looking at a 20 spot from Jizzle in this one. just because I think he's going to have an advantage that he likes to exploit. That he hasn't really gotten to take, full use of, hasn't gotten to put on display, I guess is a good way to put it, in 2024 yet. So I think we see a breakout from Jizzle. I think he gets 20. Twin.
Yeah, as my good buddy and pal Wes Miller says, you guys know Jizzle James. I'm not worried about Jizzle James at all. He got to his spots a lot in this game, and those classic mid-range jumpers that he normally does hit were rimming out. And I truly do think that this will be a chance where he does bounce back, and I do think that he's. I do see the over as well on this one, and I think that as the new kind of self-proclaimed number one painter in the Cincinnati area once said, water usually finds its level. So after that 2-point performance, I think that the water will start to find its level, and I think Jizzle will get more than 14.5 points.
And if we do see that matchup zone, remember the weakness, Brent? What's the weakness in that matchup?
The corners.
The corner three.
And then getting in the middle. Yeah. And don't be afraid to shoot it, which Jizzle is not afraid to do. So,
yeah, that is his strong point.
Yeah, it is a little more difficult to, like I said, it is a little more difficult to get to the middle off the bounce against that zone.
True.
That's where having Dan back can really help, is if you can have him catch free throw line extended and be able to make plays in the middle of that zone. I think Dylan can be pretty good there as well. So
CMOS and Connor into the corners.
Yeah.
Have them spot up a couple times.
Even the way Day-Day's shooting from the corners, he's shot pretty well from the corners if you've given him like open looks.
Jizzle has too, actually, which is on the season, not on Saturday.
That's not where Dan is good from. Dan is good from the wings, not the top, not the corners, but the wings.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like him down there on the baseline, but use Dan kind of as that guy that if they're in that zone, use Dan as the guy in the middle, and then his ability to kind of play make from there, get to the rim or
slash
the ball and get it to the corners for threes.
Yeah, I got you. You got one more, Ryan?
I had that one that I think you remember what it was. I don't remember what I said to you. It was a crazy time down at the ground, man.
Man, you were enjoying yourself, dude. You were enjoying yourself. I said, man, just give me a little bit longer. I'll come find you. And then the text started to dwindle a little bit. And I was like, dude, where you at? And you're like, dude, I had to make an outfit change, man. I'm at SantaCon, man. My first outfit got a bunch of dirty stuff all over it. I have to change into my new outfit. And I said, well, what are you changing into, man? And you said, I went from the Grinch. I'm going to put on the classic Santa Claus outfit and jingle all the way. And I said, what? And you said, yeah, come meet me. And I said, okay, I'm coming. And then you said, but wait 1 second, bro. 1 second. What are you going to wear? And I said, man, I don't know. I'll have to figure out something to wear. And then you said, what's your favorite thing to dress up as, whether it be a random dress up day other than Halloween? Like what's your favorite thing to dress up? What kind of a day do you like to dress up and go out and have fun? I said, well, bro, let's save this. Save this for the BBP. Let's lock this into BBP. And you said
71,
okay.
Aaron.
Okay. So other than Halloween,
15.
Other than Halloween, what is your favorite day to go and get dressed up and have fun?
I don't dress up on Halloween. I'm not a dress up guy. Just not.
You don't put on American flags on July 4th? You don't wear a little green on St. Patrick's Day?
That's actually against
show you guys what I wore. Hold on.
Flag. Wearing the American flag as clothes is not allowed.
A little red, white, and blue. A little red, white, and blue. Come on now.
I don't.
Aaron, what's your go-to?
Look, I do love wearing. I match everything. I'm disgusting as far as I have to have everything matching all the time anyway. So I do love me a good federal holiday where I can wear red, white, and blue. I do, but I like family Christmas that we just got done with, where we had every year we wear matching pajamas each family has their own matching pajamas. So like my family and my sister's family and my other sister's family, they all have we all have our own. And so we had these incredibly soft onesies. Yeah.
Guy, I can see.
Yeah. Definitely had a one, but it's fun because now it's like,
does the guy want to have a pee hole, or do you have to like totally?
The zipper was low enough where it wasn't really an issue. That worked. But it's a lot of fun now that I'm a family man. You know, I've getting to dress up with the kids and make it all about us as an entire family. I really enjoy that, and makes for good pictures, and I like it a lot.
And you drink all the eggnog you can handle. I love that about you, man. I love that.
Ya.
What was the Ryan? What was that you were gonna show me? Was that the one picture you sent me with just that on late night? I was like, dog, what the heck? But yeah,
Aaron, you'll like this one. This is what I wore for my ugly Christmas sweater.
Yeah, I've got that on my
phone.
Baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Conspiracy theorists everywhere. Love it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very good. My answer, and I'm surprised no one wanted to go with this, is dressing up for St. Patty's Day and going out. Get a little green, get your best green on, you know, put on a little patty cap.
I knew that was going to be your answer. I knew
go out and have a damn day. That's right when the March Madness is popping off. That's right when everything's really
a great weekend.
It is fun.
Imagine Brent dresses up as a mean leprechaun.
Brent doesn't have a mean bone in his body.
I hugged Berkey Walrus.
Ryan, you've never sat next to him when he's losing bets.
That is true.
Life gets rough when that happens. But yeah, I mean, and how about Valentine's Day? Put on a little pink, you know, rock a little pink.
I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that.
Okay, but I did not, which is why we love New Riffin' with Royer. That was
I got out of there just in case. Just in case.
I thought for sure Chad was going to drop the "that's why you're single" joke.
I mean,
wow. Whoa.
Can't do a whole lot about that one.
But I'm ready to mingle, guys. Ready to mingle. So here we go.
Beast.
Let's go ahead and timestamp this. We got roll.
Unreal. You're unbelievable sometimes, Brent.
So are you guys.
That's why we love you. Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. They provide mostly disposable restaurant supplies, to-go containers, cups, pizza boxes, to-go bags, can liners, napkins. They've been open since 2009 and are one of the largest minority-owned companies in the city. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Boom, baby. Talking about boom, Royer. There was a boom-tastic event that happened during the basketball game on Saturday. Cincinnati was beating Xavier in the crosstown shoot of the 92nd annual, where they now extended their overall record to 52-40. During that victorious win over against that team from Norwood,
imagine that, Brett. They went on a 5-game winning streak and couldn't get the series to single digits.
Yeah, not even close. Never in doubt. There was an announcement. Yet another key piece to the football team. It announced that he will be coming back for the 2025 season. That is right. Star tight end Joe Royer came out in front of, and I like the way they did it, Chad. You know, they kind of introduced Dante Corleone and Brendan Sorsby and Joe Royer. And what do all these have in common? Oh, yeah, they're all coming back for the 2025 season. So those three are in the mix. You add in Gavin Gerhardt, returning for the team. And you know what? We mentioned it last week, but that is a pretty doggone solid core to grow on. And Royer, Aaron, Chad, I feel like Joe Royer, we just started to see kind of like a little tip of the iceberg of what he can truly be for this Bearcat team, especially now that he has one full season of college football under his belt.
Look, this one came down to the wire. Just to pull back the curtain a little bit, it was, we're going to bring Dante and Sorsby out at the first second media stop of the game. Yeah. Royer's a maybe. Like, we were waiting on, like, do we know yet? Like, and that decision was apparently made Saturday, like finalized on Saturday, that he was going to come back, because you know the NFL is, tight ends are in high demand, especially tight ends with his specific skill set to go make plays down the field. And he had a tough decision to make, and it came down to the wire. We weren't sure if he was going to be with them when Dante and Sorsby walked out. So when we saw him, it was immediately like, can we run the story? Like, is this good to go? And then they said coming back for the 2025 season, and the place went nuts. And for the second year in a row, like, say what you will, the fans are unhappy. The winning hasn't happened enough, but this coaching staff still has the locker room. If they didn't have the locker room, you would not gotten any of those three guys back. And so if you're looking for an insight into the health of the program, the health of the locker room, again, getting those three guys back signals things are in pretty good shape internally. Do they have to win more games? Yes. Like, all of that stuff. Like, none of that changes. But it does give you an insight as to what these guys think of the staff, think of the program, that they're going to be back for another year.
I'm going to double down on that, and I think it's a bigger nod, actually, to, because we've already seen Gerhardt come back, we've already seen Brendan come back, we've already seen Dante come back. I think this is a bigger nod to Brendan Sorsby being real deal, and the fact that Joe believes in him. Joe could have gone and found another quarterback who can get him the ball, or another system to get him the ball more, and instead he wants to stay home, wants to do it here. And I think that's a huge nod for his confidence in the both the relationship and the confidence he has in Brendan Sorsby.
And this is just things I've heard. I know a bunch of teams reached out to him. A bunch of money was on the table, but my understanding was the decision was come back to Cincinnati, go to the NFL. Maybe transfer was on the table early, or maybe it was just a matter that a whole lot of people reached out with a whole lot of money on the table. But the word that I had heard was he was deciding between going to the NFL or coming back to Cincinnati. So,
yeah, I mean, Royer, hear me out on this.
And it's his cousin. You get a
right, but Joe, your cousin, didn't really play much at Ohio State, whether it be, for reasons beyond his control or injuries or whatnot. So this is theoretically kind of his first full year of being heavily involved. And so how important is that jump from year one, where you get a bunch of reps and you kind of are a focal point of the offense, and then year two, just kind of being able to develop on top of what you did in year one?
Yeah, I think game rep experience, I think you can expect like him to take another step next year, but for the most part, like his athleticism and his like physical development is probably, you're not going to see like that same type of like young guy transition. Right. So you could say, but yeah, I think Sorsby's got next year, another year of comfortability in the offense, and same for Joe Royer, and, just everyone along the line just being more comfortable in the culture and the system. I think Joe, I'm sure there was probably some skepticism on the NFL side of things. Oh, you only did this for 1 year. Like, I'm sure he might want to kind of come back and prove, this is my caliber and I can up it. I could take it to the next level coming up this year. And I think he has everything right in front of him with the returning quarterback, returning offensive scheme with Satterfield, and just overall comfortability across the board from coaches and players. So huge get for the Cats. I'm just people go to your gas station, start buying Cincy Light, because having all those guys come back, we're going to be, a little bit low on funds, you'd think, if we're able to retain all these guys. I'm sure we're giving them nice big chunks of cash. So a little nervous about the potential for, going to get out skill players on the offense and defensive side, mainly receivers and some secondary assistants. So not saying I don't believe in this stat being able to make it happen. It's just, when you look across the board, they're going to want to take care of these guys. They're best players that chose to come back. I'm sure there's some promises of big amounts of money. So go out there and support your Bearcats in your light beer of choice.
Absolutely. Cincy Light Studios, repping nothing but Cincy Light. And I tell you what, there was not a safe Cincy Light in sight after that big victory over Xavier on Saturday. Bearcats took down Xavier 68-65, if you did not know. Speaking of Royer, well, first off, it was also cool to see both Royer and Sorsby were two of the guys that were out on the court right after the win against Xavier, dapping up Dan and the team, kind of celebrating with them. It just shows you the camaraderie on campus. And I think there was a lot of that when you guys were there too. It was kind of football propping up, the entire atmosphere of the campus, especially around sports. So great to see that. But another thing is the portal's open and the Bearcats are cooking. Aaron did mention before we came on the show that there's a certain syndicate out there that was saying that Cincinnati's got a top 8, performance in the early ongoings on in the transfer portal. So let's just run down some names real fast.
That was before today.
That was before today. Okay, so it is even better.
That was this morning, early this morning.
Even better. So Tarantayo, Ball State offensive lineman, all MAC third team, had NC State, some Ohio State offer, tackle/guard. This is going to be your favorite, Ryan. Matthew McDoom, Coastal Carolina cornerback.
What a cool name.
He's a beast. First team all Sun Belt defensive. Then you got Old Dominion defensive end, length 6'4", 254-pound Jalen White McClain. Then you got two wide receivers. Colorado State wide receiver Caleb Goody, who has one of the awesome highlights that you'll see out there. Just go search it on the old X.com and you'll see a one-handed catch that he takes to the house from about 80 yards out. Then of course,
elite speed.
Some elite speed, 22.4 miles per hour. He was clocked at. Had a lot of interest and offers in the P4. So that's a good one. And then of course Texas A&M wide receiver Cyrus Allen just flipped from Tulane to Cincinnati right before we went on live on air. So it's a good start to the class out of the portal. And I imagine that every single one of those players will have somewhat of an impact, whether it be next year or whether it be for years to come. Thoughts on the start of the class so far, Chad, Aaron, and Ryan? It seems like they hit on the positions of need that we were mentioning in last week's BBP.
Yep, I agree. Those are all areas that needed improvement, and we knew that Satterfield and the staff, they kind of had that mission, like we're going to go out and like fill holes in the portal, and like that's kind of like the immediate game plan. And so you like seeing them start out addressing the things that I think it's good to see that, like us, we cover the team. Like we like to think we have a good grip on the holes in the team, and we're on page with the coaching staff and everything seems to be aligned. So that's a good sign. But, like I said, just being able to retain guys with the amount of guys we have coming back that we're going to have to pay, little nervous about that, but it's good to see that they were still able to kind of go get some, make some splashes to start off, showing that, there's still money to go around, and, guys, they're still able to go get guys. So it's good to see. We have to see how it develops.
Yeah, I think corner was probably the most dire need, if not receiver. And we obviously hit both of those. Offensive line, everybody wants to find an offensive lineman. You found a guy who was pretty highly rated there as well. I'm a little nervous about kicker currently, as I'm not sure who the kicker is. I don't know that we currently have one. I'm being completely honest. So that would be a concern going forward. I think you probably need another corner, maybe. Edge rusher, linebacker. That's running back. That's probably the places that I'd still be looking for holes to be plugged. But right now, I'm actually really happy with what they've done, and hope they continue the good work.
Yeah. Chad, anyone stick out a little bit glaring on those that have already committed, or and I mean, obviously it is a good start. You've got 2 wide receivers that have been productive throughout their careers. You got a cornerback who does seem pretty locked down, and then of course a very experienced offensive lineman that did grade out highly as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of checked a bunch of boxes. I don't know that anyone I don't know that they've gotten anyone that jumps out as like this guy's going to be, a day one like all conference guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you've raised the floor at the positions that you have went out and nabbed so far. Now you got to, I mean, everybody's got a plan coming into this bad boy.
Right.
People know who they think they have a chance at, who they think is going to go in the portal. That first week, you need to be efficient and effective, because that's your, that's like the scripted first 15 plays of a game, right? Like, okay, here's our script. These are the guys that we're thinking are going to go in. We want to get them on campus as soon as we get a chance to, and try to get things done. So that part is really important. I think this next week is kind of, okay, now we've added these into the want box, into the signed box.
Yep.
And you reassess what you've got left, what your needs still are. They're still, I think, going to go after a couple wide receivers. I think another couple offensive linemen makes sense. They've been looking to add, it looks like, a linebacker. So, you think there, and then they've told us all along, probably 3 guys in the secondary, just depending on what the best fits are. McDoom obviously looks like a corner, coming in that's going to see the field right away. And then you want to get at least another corner, maybe 3 if you can, or get another, get a safety to kind of bolster that room, because with Canteen gone and with Minkins gone, like, you're going to be young at safety if you don't go out and find a little bit of help. I mean, Logan Wilson will be back, I think. So, that gives you a guy that played a lot this year. But I think so far the theme of this portal class is solid. Doesn't feel like they're reaching. It feels like they were looking for specific traits again. Zach talks about that a lot when he comes on with us, looking for specific traits, looking for specific qualities. And then you get them on campus and you try to get them signed. So far, it looks like it's been productive.
Yes, it has been. Obviously, you do like to see some players as well that have multiple seasons of eligibility remaining on top of it. That's just an added luxury for some of these guys as they get out of the portal, to try and get them in and get them for more than just 1 year. But one last bit of, and obviously one final thing on Goody, he can take the top off the damn ball. So you talk about the somewhat lack of a deep threat, especially now that Xavier Henderson and Sterling Burkhalter are no longer on the team, and Jamoy Mays exhausted eligibility as well. That's a guy who can kind of do that for you on the outside or inside. So he's some exciting traits on him, and of course Cyrus as well. So more to come. It is not at all close to done. So stay locked into BCJ, bringing you the wall-to-wall coverage on everything out of the portal. One final bit on football before we head into the mailbag. It is officially official. The game against Nebraska to begin the season next year has moved to Arrowhead Stadium. It is Thursday, a Thursday game at Arrowhead Stadium. There's a good article on BCJ breaking that down, the move and the logistics behind it. Any final thoughts, remarks on that game? It's going to be one that'll kind of be probably a standalone game in that first true weekend of college football, where a lot of eyes will be on it around the nation, especially with Dylan Raiola coming in to his second season as quarterback for Nebraska, and of course everything behind it. It'll be a little Sorsby versus Dylan Raiola matchup, which will be pretty intriguing for the national prospects. But any final thoughts on that one following on Thursday against Nebraska at Arrowhead Stadium?
It's only fitting that cosplay Patrick Mahomes is going to be in the Arrowhead Stadium, right?
Yeah. Yep.
You think Mahomes comes, or you think he's, Trav will be there, I would imagine.
I imagine they'll probably show up together.
Yeah.
Trav with Taylor, do we think? Are we?
Whatever. I just hope he
start the speculation now.
I just hope he gets a pair of those new Travis Jordans without the cleat bottoms, just a standard basketball shoe bottom, as it was apparently inspired by his time here at Cincinnati. But that all said, I don't care where the game's played. You already have 7 home games next year. I get that you're losing a home game in what was supposed to be a 1-1. You're still getting the game against Nebraska. Nebraska largely hasn't been great. Yes, they beat Colorado this year, and they're bowling, but they're not top of their conference good. So that said, it's a little disheartening that it's in an NFL stadium now that is far closer to Nebraska than it is to Cincinnati. But the price tag on the game, by all estimations, has gone up as well, to where you should be bringing home about 2.5, which, let's be real, that's a lot of money for one game. It's a lot of money.
So it's actually opportunity. They were getting 2 at Lucas Oil. There's the opportunity for them to get all the way up to about 4.
That's
so
incredible.
Look, I know people are mad. I understand why people are mad.
Sure.
I get it. But it's very likely, July 1st, 2025, revenue share is going to go live. And Cincinnati is going to need to have $20 million to keep up with everyone else that is going to be playing in the revenue share pool. Cincinnati is not going to get a full membership check from the Big 12 until July 1st, 2026. So they are going to get $18-19 million from the Big 12 in payouts. And they're going to be responsible for $20 million in revenue share.
Scrape where you can.
They have to find a way to come up with as much excess cash as they can to be able to, once you get to January 1st, 2026, you're going to get the full allotment. They're going to be able to just take that and say, okay, move it straight over here, keep everything else over here. There are still building blocks, stepping stones from moving from the AAC to the Big 12. I know it for a fan, we're in the Big 12. We got to act like a Big 12 school. Well, yes, but the way you act like a Big 12 school is to have the money to pay the players commensurate with the other Big 12 schools. And if you don't have the money, then you can't pay the players. And then you know what happens? Then everybody from September to December wonders, why the hell did we suck? Because everybody else went out and got better players than you because you're poor. Like that. I don't
Poverty
know
franchise.
So, they're doing everything they can to scrape things together to get them through until that first big check on July 1st, 2026. If that includes doing something you don't want to do necessarily by doing this game at Arrowhead, they still have 7 home games. Mm-hmm. They're going to have 5 Big 12 games at Nippert Stadium. Is it an inconvenience? Yes. Is it a necessary evil? Also, yes. So it's just how it goes.
It is sad but true. But either way, it's going to be an exciting opening game for both teams, and a chance to obviously show off your shiny new toys as well as the ones that return for more football as a Bearcat.
Your shiny old toys.
Your shiny old toys as well. All righty. Well, I think that about wraps it up. If we want to go ahead and timestamp and hop in this old mailbag.
Quick Paper Supply, your local and family-owned restaurant supply company for all your non-food products. Quick Paper services over 150 restaurants with weekly low minimum next day deliveries, a wide range of food service products from to-go containers, cups, custom printed products, eco-friendly, and much more. They also have cleaning and restroom supplies for all your janitorial needs. Call Nick, 513-470-2029, and reference Bearcats for 20% off your first month of purchases.
Bang.
All right, let's hop in that mailbag.
Let's do it.
Mailbag it up.
Mailbag.
Just want to remind everybody that watches all things Bearcats here on the YouTubes that we did it first. That said, starting off in the football portion of the mailbag, which group of 3 received more NIL money, and guesstimate how much they received as a group? Dan Skillings, Jizzle James, Dylan Mitchell, or Dante Corleone, Brendan Sorsby, and Joe Royer?
I'll go with the basketball guys because there's not as many guys to pay. You can be a little bit more, the purse strings can loosen a little bit when you're dealing with less players as opposed to when you're dealing with keeping, almost 100 guys compensated. So I would guess Dan, Jizzle, and Dylan, and I don't put my hands in other guys' pockets. So I'm not going to guess on how much they're making because I don't care.
No pocket watching.
That's not my thing.
Royer, who made more, you or David DeJulius during your careers?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think I got $100 to Chipotle or some shit like that. That was pretty epic.
I mean, that's massive. That's deluxe.
Yes.
You could say I was a bit of a pull for NIL.
It's like 4 meals.
Yeah. I just
maybe
think
3.
I mean, it's the whole thing like it always is. Like basketball is, for however unfair or fair it is, you just look at the professional level as well. There's just so many players that have mouths to feed, and then in basketball you don't have a helmet and there's less of you, and all of a sudden there's a lot less mouths to feed. So yeah, that's my answer.
I think we're all on the same page.
But did you know Cincinnati beat Xavier this year, this past Saturday? Big time.
We did do that.
Huge.
Over under 6 starters coming from the portal next year. Offense 11 personnel, and defense the 3-3-5.
Oh boy. And you're going to have to replace at least 2 offensive linemen. Xavier Henderson, probably Jamoy Mays. Jamoy was considered a starter all year. A running back, which could be Evan Pryor, could be a portal guy.
Conservatively, I'm saying
I'll go under.
Oh, over under 6 starters? Oh, I'm saying conservatively 8 for me.
No, over under 11.
Oh,
Oh, 6? Yeah. I'll
Six.
go over. I'll go over on 6. Sorry. I was thinking 11. I'll go over on 6, but not by much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think defense kind of tips the scale a little bit there for you.
But I mean, you're going to have 2 safeties.
Offensive line, wide receiver.
That's at least 3, I would guess.
Yeah. I guess you also don't know if whoever comes in is coming necessarily from the portal.
Right. That's my thing. Like,
yeah.
Are you going to have freshmen step up and fill the roles, placed by starters, guys that were freshmen this year? I mean, incoming freshmen, less likely, but
Coleman, you brought guys in you brought guys in at safety last year, like Kai Stokes, Logan Wilson. So yeah, I don't know.
It's going to be close to. It will be close to 6. I'll go 7, but 6 wouldn't shock me.
What you got, Royer?
I'm going over. I'd say 7.
All right. I don't necessarily know what this means, but would you want the commits to come from a team that made the playoffs? I guess it's supposed to be the FCS or FBS.
I mean, yeah, that means they're probably good. I'd like it.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know what TP stood for.
Transfer
if I was
portal.
there it is.
I mean, what are we talking about? Are we talking about guys that played on playoff teams, or are we talking about guys that were buried on the 2 deep and couldn't see the field? Like, I don't know. Each situation is different, but I mean, sure, if the couple guys from whoever wins the national championship want to come to Cincinnati, bum bum ba-na. Come on down, bum bum ba-na.
Can't wait to hear former Notre Dame or former Alabama or every broadcast. Who would have gotten the most in NIL money? Pick from any UC Bearcat in year 2000 on.
This is football.
Yes.
Quarterback rules the day.
Dez,
Tony. Senior year, Tony. Was 6-year Tony.
I think Sauce would have gotten a pretty big bag too.
Sauce probably would have in his final year gotten are we talking about like most NIL money for a career, most NIL money for a season?
Right.
Mike Warren would have got some NIL bread.
Yeah. I think Pede would have gotten some big time NIL. Obviously, Marty.
The answer is Dez, though. He was starter for 4 years. Like he would have, if it's a lifetime achievement award, Dez. Maybe Garrett Campbell because he was here so long.
Good
Hi, Garrett.
All right,
Garrett the GOAT.
The goat ski.
There was a transfer quarterback that came in that may have, as far as 1 year goes.
Gunnar Keel.
Gunnar Keel. Thank you.
But Gunnar was here like 3 years. He would have got it. He would have got a bunch, like because he was the number 1 quarterback in the class. He probably would have got a pretty big stack of cash. Gunner's a good answer.
His very first game where he had 6 passing touchdowns, I think some team would have called him immediately and been like, "Hey, I got a sizable bag for you."
Trent Cole in the chat. That's a good answer.
Yeah.
All right. Any updates on who the next special teams coach, cornerback coach, and safety or linebacker coach may be?
No, we're working on it. I know.
I was thinking of trying to fill all of them myself.
There we go. Royer, you got anything just to say quickly about Coach Combs? And I mean, obviously, he's no longer with the program, but obviously probably did a lot to help you
Yeah.
out at times. And
I mean,
whatnot.
Coach Combs, he coming back here and kind of heading the ship when a lot of shit went down. Just like a beacon for Cincinnati, an amazing coach, did a lot for the game, did a lot for the city. I think he did a lot here too. I just think, it came at kind of like a different point in his career. And I think some things just didn't work out as planned. And I don't think that takes away from, the caliber of a coach he is and the type of man he is and the way he gets his guys to play. So gonna miss seeing him around. I really, really liked what he stood for, like the way he coached the game. So always wishing the best for him.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Has there been any updates on running backs from the portal? Y'all mentioned one a week or so ago, but that position group has seemed pretty quiet.
Guys, the best I can tell you is just stay tuned to the board. We're not going to do a lot of like names and portal talk, recruiting talk on the pods. So I appreciate the questions, but for the most up-to-date information, stay tuned to the boards, and Keegan and Dave will have you locked up.
And the last question that somehow made it into the basketball portion, but we fixed it for you. Now that Coach Scott Satterfield is getting wide receivers, do you all think we have the offensive line to protect Sworsby so he can get the rock to these playmakers?
I don't think they're done at offensive line, so ask me in a week or two. But I think they're in the right direction. I think you'll still have Gerhardt back at center. Tengestal showed to be really good when he got a chance to play. DeAndre Buford is back. And then, we're going to have to figure out what exactly it looks like at tackle. Those are the two key spots. So preferably, I think you'd like to go find a starting tackle in the portal. But one, there are not many of them that make it to the portal. And two, they're going to make a lot of money, the ones that do get there. So we're going to find out what the recruiting staff has up its sleeve, trying to beef up the depth at tackle.
I think we had the offensive line to protect Sworsby last year. I think the problem that you run into when you have a scrambling quarterback is the fact that he's going to be a little reckless at times. He's going to be a little gunslinger at times, and that's part of the give and take of a scrambling quarterback.
Sure, but the nice part is if you have a better offensive line, he doesn't have to exit the pocket as much.
Or hang out in the pocket until the last second as he's getting wrecked in the face.
The longer you hang out in the pocket, the odds that you're going to get wrecked in the face go up, even if you have a good offensive line. So,
right. That's the end of the football portion of the mailbag. Moving on to the basketball portion. Which of you're back with these long, gruesome questions. Which of these 7 plays in the last 6 critical minutes made your Bearcat heart cringe the most? Number one, Seamoss taking it. It was this one.
I can't imagine anything being worse than number one, but go ahead.
Number one, Seamoss taking a 27-foot. Number 2, Dan Skilling slow to react to a screen, then fouling Crowell for a 4-point play with 16 seconds. Yeah. Number 3, Jizzle's last ill-fated 3 early in the shot clock to go 0 for 11 with 5:21 left. He was pulled after that and only played the last 16 seconds. He redeemed himself, damn it. Number 4, Seamoss behind the back pass 18 inches from the rim that becomes a turnover instead of a layup with 6:29 left, right in the middle of our run. Number 5, Dan Skilling's getting caught on a screen and Conwell drilling a 3 to make it 61-59 with 1:49 left. His name is Conwell. Seamoss missing the front end of a 1-on-1 with 1:33 left. Or number 7, Dylan Mitchell losing sight of Fremantle and getting caught in traffic, giving Fremantle an absolutely wide open step-in 3 with 2 seconds left.
Number 1. And also, Killer V. Just you are and I love you. You are the antitheses of what we had to deal with all year last year when everybody wanted Jizzle, but Day was the starter. You're all in on Day. And you think in order to justify that, you have to shit on Jizzle every chance. You don't have to. It's good to have both. Like, you can like both guys. You can like one more, but you can like both guys. But anyway, it's number one. It's not even close.
Yeah, number one is it for me as well. But the behind the back is close. And then also one that I don't even know if he listed because I can't see it there was when, well, yeah, because it wasn't in this final 6 minutes, but was the one that where CMOS got his pocket picked and then Combo hit the 3 to go up 7 with 7 minutes left. And then like literally my heart just sunk. And I was like, we're cursed. We are absolutely cursed.
All right.
It was then you knew that 7.5, 8.5 wasn't going to cover.
Hey, it was looking good for a little bit.
They got it back to 7. I felt good for you for a minute.
Conwell kept on just hitting 3 after 3.
How is it possible that Dylan Mitchell was on the court with 16 seconds left in the game, up by one singular point? Remember, it was our ball. If you were the coach, would he have been in the game? Do you think West potentially misread the moment? Facts. Dylan Mitchell's free throw percentage, 29.2. He had just thrown up 2 back rim clunkers. The last 2 free throws he shot. Everyone in the gym, including Sweaty Sean and both play-by-play announcers, was shocked he was out there to foul, and they tried. They subbed in Jizzle for Hickman and left Dylan Mitchell out there. Please comment. I inserted Sweaty Sean. That's what I refer to him as.
So you still have to get the ball in. And if you go with all small guys and they're defended, it's very difficult to get the ball in. When you have a guy like Dylan Mitchell that is as long and athletic as he is, you can put some air under it, have him go get it, and immediately pass it off. Now, could it have backfired? Absolutely. But that's why you would like to have at least a little bit of length in there so you can throw it up instead of trying to sneak in a bounce pass or fit it to a guard in a tight spot where they get trapped, something bad happens. So I get it. He also had made he made 5 free throws.
He was at 6% 2 games ago, and he raised that percentage 23%. I think he had made like 8 of his last 10. He's making up for lost time. It's fine.
And CMOS missed the front end of a 1-and-1. Jizzle was a 56% free throw shooter coming into the game. It's like, I mean, yes, I understand it, but also, like you said, it's just get the ball in. It's a set play. Immediately pass it to Jizzle out of the inbounds. So there you go.
Day and Aziz were our best free throw shooters. If you would have told me Aziz on any given day was a top 2 free throw shooter, I wouldn't have believed you. Number 1, play of the game for UC. Number 2, mistake of the game for Xavier. Number 3, dunk of the game, both teams.
Play of the game. Yeah, the rebound.
The rebound. I think that was play of the game.
Dunk of the game. Probably Dan's breakaway dunk.
Well, that was exciting.
The Dylan lob that I talked about earlier on the backside that caught Xavier completely sleeping was pretty damn sweet.
The Z's poster on Fremantle off the alley.
I love Dylan. I love him so much.
Mistake of the game might be Fremantle's missed dunk for the Norwood crew.
To go up 9. Yeah, completely take the wind out of the gym.
Yeah. Mistake of the game was not fouling Dylan and letting him get the pass off to Jizzle James. They didn't even, it was, I think, Fremantle on him at that point. And I don't think he made enough of an effort at all to show he was fouling Dylan Mitchell.
Potentially because he had a torn ACL.
Well, then that's on him. That's mistake of the game might have been leaving him in to miss that foul and miss the shot if he had a torn ACL.
Yeah, I think, just that whole finishing segment where they had like back-to-back turnovers, one of them leading to the Dan dunk and the other one, it just, they kind of crumbled down the stretch, similar like what they did at TCU as well. So can't quite finish.
Mistake of the game could have also been Dalen Swain not boxing out.
Yeah.
Just looking around. Can we get the name of the Euro recruit you mentioned a few weeks back?
No. When I can give it to you, I will.
Easy enough.
Capiche.
Can we expect UC to score in more ways in the paint besides the lob going forward? Is it wrong feeling like we struggle to score in the paint if we aren't throwing lobs?
Well, there's what you're talking about is throwing it to somebody who is posting up and scoring. They scored half of their points in the paint against Xavier. They scored 68 points. 34 of them were in the paint. Now, 14 of them roughly, 12, 14 of them were on lobs. So they are still getting downhill. That's also why they got to the free throw line. I can't believe we've gotten this far in the podcast and we haven't mentioned the fact that, Berg might have been right. They outshot Xavier, and I believe they made more free throws than Xavier took, right? No. Yeah, they made 19 free throws. Xavier only took 17. So they're getting points in the paint. They're just not getting them with a big man that you can throw it to, and they can, little baby hook or up and under and off the glass. But they are scoring a good deal of points in the paint. It's just coming off of playing downhill, attacking, as opposed to setting up plays where you throw it into a post guy with isolation and he gets you a bucket. So more than one way to skin a cat.
I think Dan coming back opens up a lot more layups. He's not one for going. He'll take a lob, sure, but he's not one that looks for the lob.
He also drives a lot more.
That's what I'm saying. Like he'll go and take the layup as opposed to looking for the lob. And I also think that with Day getting more and more rust knocked off, you're going to see him drive a little bit more. I think he's been a little tentative thus far. But I think that we'll see more of him driving to the cup. And Jizzle seems to not quite have unlocked that part of his game this season yet either. He looks to be more unselfish with the ball right now, looking for the lob as opposed to driving for the layup. So I think that you're going to probably see, as the season develops, more of that than just the lobs.
They're going to have to, because in Big 12 play, you're not going to get 8 lobs in a game.
Well, Xavier kind of cracked the code on that in the second half, where they were tipping passes and trying to disrupt it. And that is the end of the basketball portion of the mailbag. The last question in the mailbag comes from the Banks. What is happening with the BCJ Bourbon?
Oh, I had a meeting with them last week. It's not looking great. It's a lot of money. If unfortunately, I guess because of the way that like these bourbon places do stuff, they're set up to do stuff through 501(c) charity foundations, because they support and do a lot of charities with these type of things. Well, Cincy Reigns is not a 501(c), so the logistics of it are a lot more difficult than I thought. We're still working on it. It's not completely ruled out. It's just a lot more hoops to jump through than I was initially anticipating, and potentially a lot of money out of my the personal business account to buy a barrel of bourbon, and financial responsibility to my my employees does not really include dropping 5 figures on a barrel of bourbon at current time. So, unless Aaron volunteers to give up a couple months' salary, it's not. It doesn't look great right now.
Like and subscribe. Swipe up. Swipe up. Swipe up.
There might be a situation where I do a smaller number to get the cost a little bit more effective. But we'll see. It's we're in talks. We just have to find kind of the sweet spot to make something happen, because the less that we buy, the less money that we're going to donate to be able to donate to Cincinnati Reigns. I don't want to spend days and weeks, handling this thing, and then we write a check for like, $1,500 to Cincy Reigns. Mm-hmm. The juice might not be worth the squeeze, if you will, in that scenario. So I am working on it. I'm not as optimistic as I was before the meeting last week, but we'll see how it goes. I'm trying.
We'll keep you updated.
We will.
There we go.
That's the mailbag. Get us out of here, Brent.
Hey guys, did you hear what happened this past Saturday?
What's up, Brent?
Ryan Royer and I were at SantaCon together, and we had ourselves a blast. But also, before that, the University of Cincinnati men's basketball team, took down Xavier in the crosstown shootout. And then on Sunday, the women's team did the same doggone thing.
Brent, you know what else happened?
What's that?
You know what else happened? On Friday night, the Cincinnati managers defeated the Xavier managers.
They took them down.
We call that a crosstown sweep end.
A clean sweep, baby. That's right. 68-65 Musketeers, if you will, fall. Since he's on top, orders restored. Love it. That's all I got to say. Plenty more to come. Obviously, portal news for the football team. Obviously, Dayton game this Friday. Huge excitement. One more thing, Chad. What you got?
In honor of the great Wildman Walker, Cincinnati Bearcats forever. Cheatham Middle School never.
Shouts as always to Cincy Light for the Cincy Light studios here. Shouts to our boys over at Danco Transmission Auto Care, our ladies and gentlemen, and everyone there. We love you guys. Shouts, of course, to Quick Paper Supply for their timestamps that they supply, and to New Riff for providing my most favorite segment of all time with my bestest friend in the world, Ryan Royer. But for the guys, the pals, the crew, the squad, everyone involved, Aaron Smith, Chad Brendel, and Ryan Royer, I am Brent Young. Yet again, another fantastic BVP presented by BearcatJournal.com.
See ya!